The New York Knicks entered the 2024 postseason with high expectations, only to fall short in the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Indiana Pacers in a tough 125-108 Game 6 loss. While their star point guard Jalen Brunson was hailed as the team's driving force, the Knicks' inability to address one glaring flaw ultimately cost them a deeper playoff run. And the truth is, their struggles can be traced back to a pivotal decision in the summer of 2022, a decision that has now come back to haunt them. The curse of the Hartenstein deal, a roster's fatal flaw. The Knicks made a splash that offseason, securing Jalen Brunson to be their cornerstone piece. But it wasn't just Brunson who New York acquired that summer. They also made a relatively quiet move by signing backup center Isaiah Hartenstein to a 2-year, $16 million deal. At the time, this seemed like a minor acquisition, but it turned out to be far more pivotal than anyone could have predicted. Hartenstein, with his gritty play, defensive versatility, and offensive rebounding prowess, became a key cog in New York's success. His ability to create extra possessions, especially in late clock situations when the offense stalled, made him a vital component of the Knicks' identity. Yet, the structure of his 2-year deal left the Knicks in a precarious situation. With Hartenstein set to hit unrestricted free agency in 2024, New York could only offer him a modest raise, just 75% of his previous salary, totaling $16.2 million. That wasn't nearly enough to keep him from the grasp of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who lured him away with a hefty $30 million contract. Had the Knicks signed Hartenstein to a longer-term deal, they could have kept him at a far more reasonable price, and with full bird rights, would have been in a far better position to retain him. Instead, they lost a player who had become the defensive backbone of their team. It wasn't just his playmaking or shot blocking that was missed. It was the stability he provided within their defensive schemes. 1. Bolstering defense to offset weaknesses. The most obvious option is for the Knicks to strengthen their defense around Brunson and Towns. This would require a significant investment in elite wing defenders, as the pairing of Brunson and Towns has exposed the team's defensive liabilities. The idea of surrounding them with players like OG Anunoby, Matisse Thybulle, or another defensive-minded wing could work in theory. But the Knicks are already committed to a large chunk of their roster and might need to move on from some pieces to make room for defensive upgrades. 2. Dominating offense to outscore opponents. The second option is for the Knicks to double down on their offensive prowess. If they can make their offense so explosive that it compensates for defensive lapses, they might be able to succeed in the postseason. A starting lineup featuring elite shooters and playmakers alongside Brunson and Towns could push the Knicks to the next level, but again, this would require careful roster construction to avoid being too reliant on offense alone. 3. Breaking up the Brunson-Towns duo. Finally, if the Knicks find that they cannot solve the issues surrounding their defense and offensive balance, they may be forced to break up the Brunson-Towns duo. Towns, despite his scoring ability, simply may not be the right fit for New York's aspirations, and dealing him for an upgrade elsewhere might be the most realistic path forward. The question is whether the Knicks can find a viable trade partner for Towns, whose contract and defensive limitations make him a tricky asset to move. However, the Knicks have more immediate concerns. Towns' Supermax contract makes him a tough piece to move, but teams like the New Orleans Pelicans or the Phoenix Suns could be suitors. The Pelicans, for instance, could be interested in Towns as a complementary piece alongside Zion Williamson. For the Knicks, this might represent a chance to reset, adding more depth, youth, and versatility to their roster. The road ahead, a high-stakes offseason. At the end of the day, the Knicks are at a crossroads. They've got a roster full of potential, but a lack of balance between offense and defense has derailed their championship aspirations. As they look to the offseason, they have some difficult decisions to make, whether it's adjusting their lineup, making trades, or looking for external help. The clock is ticking. New York's window to contend for a championship is rapidly closing. With Brunson firmly entrenched as the face of the franchise, the Knicks will need to make moves that complement his style of play and maximize his elite-level scoring, whether that means fixing their defensive weaknesses, adding more firepower to their offense, or perhaps shaking things up with a bold trade. One thing is certain: the pressure is on. The Knicks need to get it right, because the window for success in the post-Brunson era may not last long.